Thanks SurveyMonkey for sponsoring this video. Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. I get so many DMs in YouTube comments about people wondering how to transition into tech, and I've made a lot of videos about it. But in this video, I'll do a very comprehensive Q&A answering all of the questions you guys asked me on the survey I put out on Instagram. So let's hop into it, but let me give a quick disclaimer. With any advice you get on the internet, you have to take it with a grain of salt. We all have different privileges, we all have different advantages, we all have different things going on in our life. So when you take advice, think about how it will apply to your life, because my results are not going to be your results. And as always, make sure you do a lot of research and get multiple opinions, especially opinions from very reliable sources. And of course, with any advice you get from any source, you have to really dig deep, do additional research, and make sure it's going to work for you. Let's hop into the questions and let me try to answer the questions that you provided me. Let's start with the first question. In this section of questions, we're going to be doing more general break into tech questions. And the first question is, do you need to code to break into tech? No. This was an assumption I had too when I was first starting my journey. I thought that you had to know how to code to get a job at a tech company. It is not true. I think a major reason why this is kind of a weird question to answer is because in tech can mean so many different things. You know, I think at this point, almost every organization is going to need technical people, right? But in the organization, there's so many other roles. You have your technical roles like these roles, and you have roles like your more operation roles that are tied to the success of the business. When you're trying to break into tech, I think you need to think about breaking into a specific role. Do you need to learn how to code to break into tech? Do you need to learn how to code to work at a company like Google? No, you don't need to learn how to code. There are some roles that require no coding, no technical knowledge. All because a job doesn't require you to code doesn't mean that it's easy to get. So it's really important to know that too. So long story short, no, you don't need to know how to code to break into tech. Someone asks how to know which role is right for you. Like we talked about, there's so many roles at different tech companies. There are non-tech companies that need tech workers. Like anyone can say they work in tech, like who knows, right? But how do you know which role is right for you? I think you should do a lot of research. Look at companies that you are really interested in and see the type of roles they have. See if it aligns with your interests or if it aligns with your current skills. When you do this research, if look at the different roles available, you find the ones that you like, don't be shy to reach out to people in your network, people on LinkedIn. If you don't have anyone you can reach out to, use the power of Google, use YouTube University, and look at all the people who do day in the lives on YouTube. And what's really cool too is that you don't only have content from people who actually work in those industries. I've seen a lot of blogs where companies will do a day in the life series to really showcase their company and use it as a recruiting tool. So check out the company's blog post because usually the company will have more information about a specific role. With this research, alongside with reaching out to people, you'll have a better understanding about what role you want to target in tech. But I do want to emphasize that you don't need to code to break into tech because there are so many roles at tech companies that don't require coding. If you're looking for financial stability, there are so many roles you can do that can provide you financial stability. I wouldn't learn to code unless you actually want to code or you want to be doing a technical role. Once you have an idea of what role you want, for some people who might have to learn new skills, there are different things they might think about. They might do self-study, they might do boot camps, they might go back to school. A question I got was, can I participate in any boot camp, or are not all of them helpful? So what I would say is you need to be careful when you choose your bootcamp, because I think a lot of people, there is an assumption that because you do a bootcamp, you're guaranteed a job. And that's not true. When you're looking at a specific bootcamp, look at the data that they release about how many people get jobs from that bootcamp. And then finally reach out to people who've attended the bootcamp because they will give you the tea. They'll let you know if a bootcamp was worth it or if it's a scam bootcamp. People are really open to sharing their experiences. And also don't be afraid of checking out post-bac programs if you already have a degree, or even doing classes at a community college. I feel like no one talks about that, but you can maybe do some intro-level computer science courses at a community college as well. Before we go on to the next section, I do want to thank the sponsor of this video, SurveyMonkey. Sponsors are a main reason why I'm able to provide all of this helpful resource for over 4 years is because sponsors allow me to reinvest back into my channel. So thank you, sponsors. I do want to thank SurveyMonkey specifically because I use their tool to ask, listen, and give the people what they want, with SurveyMonkey. So I was able to use their tool to learn more about you and learn about your different pain points in your transition into the tech industry. So if you're interested in learning more about your audience and the questions they have, SurveyMonkey helps you get their feedback so you can make better decisions, a win for you and them. So go ahead, ask, listen, act. So now let's move on to the next section, which is the learning journey of transitioning into tech. So someone asked, how much did it cost to learn to code? And during that period, how did you provide for your needs? So that's another thing people don't talk a lot about. If you make the decision to quit your job to transition into tech, there's opportunity cost. And there's also the cost you have to take to provide for yourself until you get a job, which is why I really recommend if you have a job, maybe you can look into a part-time bootcamp, a part-time CS degree, instead of just getting rid of your job. Unless you have people who can support you, then you can take the chance and you can take the risk to quit to transition into the tech industry. But please be very, very cautious about quitting your day job and just diving in. Take time to really think about if you have the financial means to support yourself. So how did I do it? I saved up, I think, about 6 months of expenses from my day job before I quit. The whole process took me from March, when that was the start of the Recurse Center, until the first day of my job, which was September. But I'd been preparing before then on the side with my job. And I also had money because the Recurse Center has scholarships, so they gave me a scholarship that really helped me as well. But towards the end, I was really running out of money. But thankfully, I have parents that I can go back to live with. A lot of people might not have that. They might be breadwinners and they might be supporting their family. So take that with a grain of salt. But to learn to code was $0. The Recurse Center was free. I used only free resources, but I did have to provide for myself during that. So you can't just say it was $0. For me, it was about 6 months of expenses. What books helped you the most when you were self-learning software development, and what do you consider must-haves? So I really liked Headfirst Java. I liked to learn Python. I liked my data structures and algorithms course, and then there was a book associated with that, which was pretty good, but it was very boring. And for the interview prep process, I really liked elements of the coding interview, Python. Also really liked cracking the coding interview as well. Some other books I've heard software engineers like are Building Data-Intensive Apps and The Programmatic Programmer. I haven't read those books, but maybe in the future I'll read them. Is it okay to only know one coding language to get a job? Some job listings want every coding language. Also, is it okay not to know everything about one coding language? Yeah, you don't need to know every syntactic detail of a coding language. I think if you understand the general fundamentals and you know how to build projects, you should be fine with one programming language. But it really depends on the type of software engineer you're trying to be. If you're trying to do front end, you will need HTML, CSS aren't programming languages, but you need to know HTML, CSS. JavaScript would be the main programming language, but you would also need to know a framework too. If you want to do full stack with that stack, then maybe Node.js as well. But if you want to be a backend developer, knowing one language is enough, but just build projects and understand how everything works in that system and the popular tools that people use for that specific type of software engineering. Just remember, job listings are nice to haves because, like, I was recently talking to Esco. If you watched this video, Esco was saying that at Uber he used Go, at Airbnb now he has to use Java. Depending on the company, they don't always hire people who know that specific language, but they hire people who have a strong understanding of the fundamentals and who have the ability to learn that programming language on the job. This is not for every company. Again, there's nuance to this, but you don't need to know all the languages that are listed in a job description. Know one well and know the language frameworks and tools that you need to use in the specific type of software engineering that you're interested in. What was a difficult topic you learned during your journey? How did you overcome it? Data structures and algorithms, very tough, specifically recursion and dynamic programming. I just tried to keep practicing problems with that concept, but I would not say I've overcome it. What should I do outside of school to make sure I have something else besides the degree when applying for jobs in tech in the future? Make sure you have a nice GitHub with cool projects to showcase your skills. Try your hardest to get an internship. If you're a college student, internships really help you get a job in the future. Be active in school, in an organization in school, like network, and will be useful in the future when you have people to reach out to. Also, this is kind of a random thing, but I think it's because I do YouTube and I'm into DevRel stuff now. You can also showcase your skills online. You can showcase your skills with projects, but write a blog post about about the project or make a video about the project just to really showcase that project. I think those things really can make you stand out. How do you constantly keep yourself updated with the rapid dynamism of your tech career? Honestly, I just try to learn on the job, but it definitely has been hard with YouTube and also doing a full-time job, because YouTube is basically a full-time job. So I will say I haven't really been the best at learning outside of work. Okay, now let's move on to the job search and the negotiation part of this video. So at what point should I build a portfolio and where do I host it? You want to build projects as soon as possible. You can do more project-based learning. So every time you learn something new, try to see how you can add it to a project. Even with the most basic knowledge of a programming language, you can start building projects. Where to host it, you can host it on GitHub Pages. That's a really popular place where people host their projects. What advice would you give an online bootcamp student about landing their first job? So from what I understand, boot camps focus mostly on the projects and the tools you need to build specific projects, but they might not help with interview prep. I don't know, I'm not a boot camp student, so I don't know, but make sure you also focus on the interview prep process as well. So I would start the interview prep process immediately. I would also look into apprenticeship programs. I have a list of apprenticeship programs that I provided a while ago, but I'll leave the link down in the description box too. I think they're really cool programs. I didn't even know about them when I was doing my journey in tech, and I really wish I knew about them. I felt like that would have been a way better way to get a start in tech than just immediately jumping into the expectations of a full-time job. How did you learn to negotiate your offers? I just read blog posts online, like this one was really helpful and this one was really helpful, and I just shot my shot. Now 5 years into working in tech, I realized that negotiating an offer is expected. Companies will give you a first offer with the understanding that you will negotiate. So now that I understand that it's expected, I feel no shame and I feel a little bit less stress asking for a little bit more money. I just understand that, you know, they're not going to come with their max offer. They're going to start somewhere a little bit lower because they expect me to negotiate. But I learned how to negotiate just from reading those articles. I also have this really helpful video about negotiating as well. So the level of skill to get into a FAANG company. I will say that FAANG companies have different levels. You have L3, your new grad level, you have L4, mid-level, L5, senior level. This is specifically at Google. These are what the numbers stand for. But at other companies, you know, they have different numbers, but the general idea is the same. There's like a new grad level, mid-level, senior level, and staff, and it goes up from there. So in terms of skill level, you can get in with, you know, your CS degree or bootcamp at the L3 level. I think what actually matters more, I mean, your skills obviously matter a lot, but what also matters is, you know, luck. You could have an interviewer who just doesn't like you. They don't like you, they're having a bad day, they're grumpy. And then you have that interviewer and they say, you know what, you don't pass the phone screen. So there's so many things that can really impact you getting a FAANG job. That's why I say don't make your dream job working in FAANG. Like, just don't have a dream company, because there's so many reasons why the interview process can be a flop. And it's not always because of you. I think anyone who is working at these FAANG companies, it's just good luck, good interviewing skills. And you know, they have skills, but a lot of people have skills. It's also really luck. There's nothing special about anyone who works at these companies. They just kind of got lucky. And there are also so many stories I've heard of people who pass the interview, but they don't pass the hiring committee. You know, it's just luck. But you know, your luck increases, you know, when you have the skills, you're doing good at interviews, that's when, you know, your luck is increased more. What kind of projects should a self-taught backend developer be doing to get interviews? Build a small microservice using third-party APIs, kind of like I did with the Spotify project. I don't know if you remember that project. And also with my Tinder bot, you can build small projects like that where you're practicing working with a third-party API. Also, it'd be cool if you added unit tests, you did some testing. That would show that, you know, you really care about reliability, and the girls that get it will get it. They'll love to see that. Add some unit tests, then kind of like extend like those example projects with, you know, setting up a database, setting up a schema, practice inserting, querying, and deleting from the database. You could actually deploy your service. You could practice like writing the script to create a Docker container. Then you can kind of use AWS, Google Cloud to deploy a microservice. So now you built the service, got to experience like testing, you have your little database, and then you also work on deploying. Can give you a really cool like project idea. So yeah, you can take those projects that I have online and just make it even better, because those are more like minor projects. So what is the most efficient way to prep for whiteboarding coding interviews? For me, the most important thing I found was doing mock interviews online. There are some services that help you with mock coding interviews, but also you can do mock interviews with your friends. How to manage time to study for interviews and how much time should I plan for? So when I was studying the first time, it was like full time for 3 months. So the second and the third time was just a couple couple hours every day, like about 2 hours or 3 hours after work for 3 months is what I did. But you know, how much time it's going to take you really depends on your skill, the skill you have, you know, with these practice questions. What was also helpful for me was to use like one of those online courses that are more structured. I used Educative, but there are also other programs that can help you with your interview skills. I'm going to go ahead and ship Formation. I think it's a really cool service. It's expensive, but I think it's a really cool way to kind of like let go of having to structure the interview prep process. And you get to use this program that helps you perform well during the interviews. So how should you build your project to land a job in a different area in tech? So this person currently works IT support and they want to do cybersecurity. Unfortunately, I do not have any advice. I don't know anything about cybersecurity, sorry, but I do know like how I structured my resume to go from a non-tech company to working at a tech company. My resume was structured, my projects were first because I didn't have any experience, so I really tried to emphasize my projects. Then I just put the different jobs I had. Also put the classes I took to just really make the coding related classes I took that would help me do better for the job. So I did classes that I took in college as well as classes that I took post-grad. Now this section is just like kind of other advice that you guys asked for. So how do you grow your network for those not in tech yet? So yeah, take the initiative and you can join these Facebook groups, and this can be a good way to talk to people who already work in the industry. So I have this group, which is the Black Software Engineer group. ESCO has it. This Black Women Software Engineering group, which is really good too. And these are Facebook groups. So if you don't have Facebook, you have to get Facebook to talk to all these people. And then I also recommend reaching out to people on LinkedIn that have the role, especially like more junior people, and you want to talk to them and learn from them. That could be a really good resource. And also just network with people who are also learning and starting their journey too, because eventually they'll get their jobs and that will just help you start building your network. So how can I bounce back from a layoff? So first of all, layoff is not your fault. Layoffs are not your fault. I think layoffs are more of a business failure than a you failure, because you have value regardless of what job you're doing, regardless of how much money you have. You just have value because you're a human, period. Just remember that the layoff says nothing about you. It just says everything about the business and the way they're failing their employees because they're just laying them off. So how do you bounce back? Just remember, it's not you, it's a business failure. Period. I was able to break into tech this year after my coding bootcamp without a bachelor's degree. I very much want to take advantage of tuition reimbursement and complete a BA. First of all, congrats. That's amazing that you were able to transition into a career in tech. That's awesome. I'm really happy for you. If I were you and I was like, I had tuition reimbursement and I had the time, I would just get a CS degree. I feel like, why not just double down on the knowledge you already have? But you said you don't want to get a CS degree. Why don't you check out like business degree? I feel like it doesn't hurt to have business knowledge. Or maybe you can see like the people you want to be like, or the people who have the jobs you want in the future. What type of degrees do they have? And maybe you could do that instead. But I would just double down and get a CS degree, or just do some business MBA or executive MBA, or you can just say whatever and do what interests you. Anyways, that's it. Thank you guys so much for supporting this channel. As always, make sure to tap that like button and smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.